How do you know what you believe is true? If you read my essay, Something is Happening with Men, you will know I have been having some lovely conversations with men in my local community lately. Recently, while I was recounting some of how I perceive and experience the world, I was asked the same question by two different men. How do you know what you believe is true? When a thread flutters in front of my face more than once, I know I am meant to follow. So let me tell you about how I can know what is true. I'll cut straight to it here and tell you what I told them. At no point in our conversation did I mention a belief. I did not say, I believe this. Although, when I see the Proto-Indo-European root of the word means to care, desire, love, and is linked to words like libido and live long, then perhaps there is some belief involved. But more accurately, I would describe what I am recounting as lived experience, or what Gnosticism refers to as gnosis, knowing. There is an element of faith involved, but not blind faith. It is more akin to holding something gently and allowing it the opportunity to reveal itself. I love when I am asked questions like this because it begins a process of refinement, and especially when the question is asked in the manner it was on both occasions. I am used to people with such queries having taken umbrage at something I have said, but these queries seemed different. It felt like a genuine desire to know. So I really wanted to articulate my experiences as best as I could, in the hope that it may offer a temporary map for those who are beginning to perceive the world differently and live in a way that feels more truthful to them. There is no way to include everything I would like to say in a short essay, but I would like to offer something that may be of practical use. And please know that when I say practical, I do not necessarily mean logical. I am not a fan of the types of writing that offer simplified steps or ways of doing things, as life is complex and experiences unique to each individual. But I feel this might actually work for what I want to achieve. However, it is offered less as a strategic how-to that will get you a particular result, and more like a magical map that will shift and change as you engage with it and disappear when you realize it was unnecessary. 1. The point of reference is internal. It was probably during COVID that I realized how strong, clear, and reliable my internal compass was. And for me, this showed up as a strong body response. I could actually feel my cells tingling and my awareness become very concentrated within my body. I knew what I knew, even if all evidence was to the contrary. Time has proven that I was right to trust this, and it was a great lesson in self-trust. There was a lot of pressure to believe certain things and to do as I was told, but my internal sense of what was happening was so strong, I just could not avoid it. It was probably the extreme circumstances that gave me the lesson I needed. I now know how often in the past I have overridden this inner knowing because someone else, or the culture, or a narrow view of reality told me I was wrong. This was the beginning of self-trust for me. We are so deeply conditioned to outsource our knowing to an external authority that this self-trust can be terrifying. In fact, one of the men who asked me how I knew what I believed was true, asked me how I knew I wasn't tricking myself or that my mind wasn't playing tricks on me. This is a deeply intuitive and psychic man who has had powerful experiences, and yet the conditioning in our world is such that he queries his own deep knowing. This is not to say I always get things right, but it is a process that is proving to me that I can trust what I know. How that knowing shows up for each person may be different, and this is where play and observation become your allies, as you learn your own language, sensations, and symbolism, and create what I call your own personal myth, a living story which can guide you as you move through life. This leads me to my next piece of guidance. 2. Life will speak to you. As you open the door to the possibility that there may be more to life and reality than we have been led to believe, life will speak to you. In my experience, when I have had an inner knowing, it has been reflected back to me and I receive a confirmation. This happens so often now. It's just my lived experience. Without fail, I will have the guidance and nudges to let me know I am on track. A small example. When I knew I wanted to write this essay, I began pondering the etymology and meaning of the words in the question posed to me. Know, believe, true. What did these words mean to me, and what was their etymology? One thing that came to me was the word true, as it relates to navigation, meaning to keep an accurate and undeviating path, to keep true. This felt to me like a more relevant sense of the word as it related to the question I was contemplating. I felt I was being asked how I navigated life in the way I did, rather than what were the set of rules that I live by. Then one morning I lifted a book I had felt I wanted to read again. It is called Revelations of the Aramaic Jesus by Neil Douglas Klotz. It is beautiful to sit with his interpretations of what Jesus is believed to have said, including the Lord's Prayer, as directly interpreted from Aramaic. I opened the book at the introduction, and at the top of the page was the quote, "You shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free." John 8:32. Okay, I thought, I'm listening. I will not recount the Aramaic here, as I will make a dick of myself trying to pronounce it, but the Aramaic word for truth means a light or clarity coming from the heart that leads one in the right direction for the moment. Beautiful. And deeply resonant with my own thoughts on the word true as it relates to navigation. This was a confirmation. The word know translates to mean to grasp or hold something in one's hand so that one can use it. So knowing is something practical that can be used. With all this in mind, perhaps the question in question could be rephrased as, what do you use to let you know you are heading in the right direction? A short answer to this is the third piece of guidance I will offer. 3. It is life-affirming. I have many metrics by which I measure how I am heading in the right direction, how I sense I am onto something or on the right path. But the bottom line is, it is life-affirming. Not that it makes logical sense or is set in stone. Not that it is proven by science, even though science is catching up. It is not a trend or a cultural norm, and it certainly does not originate in fear. Rather, it nourishes me and gives me a sense of peace. I feel whole and at home in my body and life. I am filled with vitality, enthusiasm, and a lust for life. Coincidentally, libido and belief are connected by the same Proto-Indo-European root as we saw above. These are the qualities people are responding to when they ask questions like the one this essay is exploring. Whether it is a practice, a book, an idea, or information I have received by non-conventional methods such as dreams or meditations, the base metric is the same. Is this life affirming? But what if I'm making it up and tricking myself? Ask yourself this: does it matter? Are we not all living in a shared illusion and story that is created and narrated? The difference is, my personal myth leads to vitality and a zest for life. Can the same be said for the one that has been crafted for us and infused into all of the systems that influence our lives? Also, my life opens up. Opportunities reveal themselves, and people that resonate with where I am headed begin to appear. And there is a beauty and depth to my experience of life that is hard to put into words. Life feels truly soulful, steady, trustworthy, though not necessarily easy. To be able to live in this way, to receive the guidance and messages I receive, to allow the path that is for me to open up and reveal itself, I had to open the door ajar to the possibility that there was more to life than I had been taught. To contemplate that there is a larger intelligence at play of which I am an integral part, and for the moment to trust that and myself and see what happened. I had to consider that I am not separate from the web of life or abandoned, but rather a valuable and necessary part of it. This is the first step in knowing what you believe is true. It is a shift in self-perception. I am Nina Sophia. I help people discern unhelpful lineage patterns and work with them creatively for healing and transformation, so they can begin to live the life they have always felt was possible but seemed out of reach. Visit ninasophia.me to find out more, to book a free clarity call and access some free resources. To celebrate the Cancer solstice, you can also receive 25% off all sessions booked with me between now and the 21st of June. And if you join Sounds of Sophia as a paid subscriber on Substack, for £5 per month you get access to live Zoom events with me at the solstices, equinoxes and cross quarters, along with regular mini meditations and contemplations that guide you to explore your inner world, get familiar with it, and begin to shape your reality to your liking. I could say so much more about this, but for now I will conclude by offering some concise suggestions. If you are beginning to question how your life is unfolding, or are awakening in a life that feels like it doesn't fit anymore, experiment. There are no rules, only inquiries. Science used to be about curiosity. If you want proof, don't look to someone else to give it to you. There is no proof more life-changing than personal experience. Embrace the question, what if? When life talks to you in synchronicities, hold them lightly and remain curious. Follow them. We have been trained to put these things down to just a coincidence. Allow it to prove itself. If you have a feeling or a sense about something, just begin by learning how it shows itself. Is there a particular body sensation? Are there particular times when you receive insights? Notice what it's like to trust it. Then observe. This is not necessarily about clouds parting and divine intervention, although it can be. But it is more about you being the divine intervention. It is a process. Move, ask, notice, play, trust. When I was asked the question, how do you know what you believe is true? My response was, it is my lived experience. This is your invitation to play with the parameters of reality and let your lived experience be your proof.